Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health one topic at a time. So guys, today I want to talk about the disposable mask by Armbrust. If you want to hear my full review, just keep watching. Yeah, so I actually mentioned the Armbrust mask and I showed it in a previous video, but it wasn't the focus of that video, and a couple people had asked in the Facebook group if I would talk about this mask. So this strikes me as like a plain old, it's kind of like a surgical mask. It feels a little bit thinner than the kind of mask I've been using in the operating room, but it is a polypropylene 3-ply. So I bought a pack of 50 of these for $29.90, and that was with free shipping. They do come in larger quantities, but they always are packs of 50. So if you buy 200, you pay a little bit less per mask. It's going to be 4 packs of the 50. So instead of $120, it comes out to be like a total of $100. And then I think there's even larger quantities, but I just wanted to get the smallest quantity I could. And so I got the 50. I don't really see myself using this all that much because I'm not big on the disposable masks, as you guys know. But people had asked for something. People who are looking for a disposable mask for some reason. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff out on the market. You've got to be concerned about legit products or illegit products. The good news is when it comes to a plain old surgical mask, like with ear loops, this isn't meant to be some highly fitted high-tech item, and it's pretty hard to fake polypropylene. So I don't think it matters all that much as long as you have the water resistance of the polypropylene. But these being manufactured here in the United States and with a level 3 rating, which means they have fluid resistance up to 160 millimeters of mercury. I don't know how important that is. Usually that's used in surgical or procedure type environments because there's blood and body fluids that get splashed. Hopefully you're not going to be near that kind of water pressure, but it is good to know that there is the fluid resistance on these for a high pressure, and that gives it the level 3 designation. Now, it's a really flimsy mask. I don't really recommend wearing this kind of thing for everyday use in a setting like these days where we're kind of concerned about aerosol production. If it's dry outside, it's dry inside. If it's cooler temperatures and people are sort of crowded together, yeah, I think having this is better than nothing. It's largely going to protect people around you because it's going to make you keep your respiratory droplets to yourself, and it's going to cut down on the amount of aerosolization because keeping your breath here after you exhale it close to your face with a warm, humid environment from your mouth is going to discourage the production of aerosols. I think as far as how much protection it offers you, the wearer, I would be reaching for other things that I have recommended and reviewed on this channel. Now, one use I can see for something like this is, let's say you're going to be in an environment that you think is kind of dirty, and whatever mask you're wearing anyway, fabric face mask, something that I've reviewed or recommended, if you want to throw something like this over that, because then you can just like take it off by the ear loop and throw it away when you get out of there, I can see a place for that. I know that the CDC has talked recently about layering masks, and what they've come up with is some like really broad thing where they say to put a surgical mask and then a fabric mask on top. So that was all born out of an experiment that was done where they took a specific fabric mask, and I don't think they even specified which one it was. According to the CDC, you can wear a 2-layer fabric mask, just 2 layers of 100% cotton, so pretty substandard. And they paired it with a surgical mask, and they said that when you wear that fabric mask alone, the fit is not as good as if you wear that particular fabric mask over a disposable face mask. Well, I believe that's true 100%, but that doesn't speak to the fit of that fabric mask in the first place. So if you're paying attention to all kinds of things like what's in the fabric mask, what kinds of materials are you looking for, what criteria does it need to meet, and then how does it fit, I think that might be a whole different equation. And I try to stay away from these like really overbroad recommendations that are based on one very narrow test. Okay, so I thought I would just start by cutting one of these open and let you see what's what here. It is a 3-ply, so 3 layers. I'm going to try to expose this and show it to you. 2 thinner layers on the outside and this one kind of a thicker, softer layer in the middle. And I have no doubt this is going to stand up to water testing in both directions because the disposable surgical masks are meant to be water resistant in both directions. So you can see there's kind of a bubble that's formed there that's moving. It stays all in one piece. And we'll look at it on the other side. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show you because it is white, but it beads up and stays And it really doesn't feel wet, especially on the blue side. This is the outside of the mask. The color, people are always confused about that. The white goes on the inside, whatever color it is goes on the outside. So it feels very dry here already. Pretty dry on the inside layer, not as much so. So then I can let you know whether that middle layer, so the middle layer next to the outside feels quite dry, and the middle layer next to that inside feels quite dry. And that's not a surprise, since on both sides of this mask we saw the water beads up, so you would expect it to keep the middle dry. Now, this isn't going to stay dry forever. This is a disposable. Given that it's not moisture wicking on the inside like the fabric masks we've been looking at, this is going to have some moisture buildup, as they do in the operating room, so we usually change these throughout the day. Now, these come, like I said, in this pack of 50. You open it on one end, and I will tell you, let me caution you, do not pull it out by the ear loop. They're a little bit flimsy. The mask is not really going to sustain that, so sometimes you'll break an ear loop doing that, and then the mask is wasted, so you pull it out by the mask itself. Let me just go ahead and put one on. They all have that flexible nose band. It's real thin. And, you know, this isn't a surprise. Okay, first of all, these ear loops aren't adjustable. You could use a hack with this. I don't know how much pressure the ear loops would withstand, or how long you could, you know, be pulling on them with one of these head strap hacks before you would just break them. These leak all over the place, so that's typical for a surgical mask. I will say the nice thing about a really flimsy surgical mask is that, like I said, if you want to put it on top of something, it's not going to impair the fit of something beneath it. Because one of the issues with layering, I don't think layering is just a yes or no. Yes, you should layer, or no, you shouldn't layer. It kind of depends, what are you layering, right? I mean, do you have a trilaminate polypropylene mask like the DNA mask, and that's pretty much like 5 layers? So do we need to double that and have 10? Or do we need to double these and have 6? You know, are we trying to make 2 substandard masks equal 1 good one? So I'm not really a fan of just layering for the sake of it. I think you have to figure out why you're layering and what you're layering. But one thing to be aware of is, if you have, let's say, a very flimsy mask like this, and then you put a fabric mask on that's maybe different than the one the CDC tested, and it's something that's real fitted, like, say, the DNA mask, you really do have to be careful that when that something so fitted like the DNA mask starts to press down in places, if it's not completely covering the flimsier mask underneath, then it could create some puckering when it presses down, and you could end up with some air gaps, and you could have actually more leaking and more penetration of aerosols than you would if you just wore that one good fabric mask. So I think it's really important to make sure that they fit and they don't disrupt each other or threaten the integrity of one another. This being really flimsy, I think, has a place for being on the outside if you want to keep something clean. I've also said before that I use the Synovia like that. So when I went to have my COVID-19 Moderna vaccine, I wore the DNA mask. I was in what I called a high-risk setting in a hospital, crowded, and I put the Synovia on top. And given that it has kind of a flimsier fit, it's not so structured like the DNA, it didn't threaten the fit of the DNA. It didn't disrupt that fit at all. So if you want to put this underneath, I don't have a quarrel with it, as long as it's something that works. That's why I don't think we can take, you know, one experiment that was done in one lab at the CDC that looked at one surgical mask and one fabric mask and say, okay, from now on, here's how everybody should wear masks, because it really has a lot to do with the particular masks they use, the fit, how they fitted them, were they head straps, ear loops, you know, there's just so many things there. I'm going on a little bit of a limb here, but I just don't see making an overbroad recommendation based on something so specific. Okay, but I digress, off my soapbox now. So do be careful with the ear loops. It is a pretty wide noseband, so that's nice. It's a very thin noseband, so you can get that to conform, but this is not going to be a terrific fit in and of itself. It's not going to provide you, the wearer, much protection. Now, I did a video a while back where I showed a trick for making a surgical mask fit and kind of seal. I don't like the word seal because it's not a respirator, but I showed how to make it fit better. I'm going to link that video right here. Now, I went ahead and did that trick with this mask. I'm not going to go through how to do it. You can go ahead and watch that video if you want to learn this trick, but you can see how this is much more fitted. And even when I take a deep breath, it comes in, it blows out. I always say that's a good thing. I know some people don't like it, but it tells you that you're breathing through this fabric. So this is a way to get a much better fit with a plain old surgical disposable mask. I can see a place for this as well, actually more places for this. And if I were going to follow that recommendation that I just referred to by the CDC, I would probably put my surgical mask like this so that something like the DNA was completely covering it and nothing puckered or pressed on anything else. I'm personally not going to be doing that, but I think it would work and I think it would be fine. Let me know if anybody tries that, how you like it. I do have an issue with so much in the way of disposables. I do get concerned about waste. I've seen pictures of, like, just since this pandemic, like whole shorelines filled with like trash from these disposable masks and stuff. I don't feel that these really serve enough of a purpose. I don't think they offer enough for me to be using them very often, but I did want to do a quick video because people in the Facebook group had been asking, is there something? And they're worried about what's a legit product and what's not. I do think the issue of legitimacy becomes much more important when it comes to something like respirators. First of all, it is very easy to get counterfeit respirators, even N95s. Just last week, I had 2 separate news articles that I had found where several hospital systems, which means also their distributors, had received counterfeit N95s. So they got past the distributors, they got sold, they got into the hospitals. At some point, these were sent to 3M, and 3M determined that, no, these are not our products. So, the way I look at it is, if counterfeit products can get through to them, I don't really know what I have to add there. So I think that is a much more important issue when it comes to the legitimacy of something like a respirator that's dependent on its seal and its integrity. This is not sealed. This doesn't have a whole lot of integrity, as I've just shown you. So I could see this, like I said, being used as a topper or being used in a quick pinch. I will review this product called Fix the Mask, which is meant to make these fit better. I'm waiting for that to arrive. People have asked me about it, so I'll let you know what I think about that. While I don't see a huge place for this in my life, I would say that I recommend buying it if you're looking for some plain old surgical masks. I think it's a trustworthy product, and like I said, it's hard to fake polypropylene, and yeah, it works. It's just not real sturdy. So let me know if that was helpful, and until next time, be well. Bye-bye.